So, welcome to another edition of the Manufacturing and Engineering Week podcast. It's just 6 weeks at the time of recording to us opening the doors at the NEC. We're really excited about it, and we're looking forward to welcoming thousands of manufacturing and engineering professionals to this first event. But in the meantime, here we are at the podcast, and I'm delighted to welcome Dave Beck from Premier Farnell. So welcome to the show, Dave.
Thanks, Ed. Good to be here.
Now, more than just a guest on the podcast, you are also, as Premier Farnell, a principal partner for Manufacturing and Engineering Week, and we're delighted to have you on board for that. So I'm sure most people know who Premier Farnell is and what you do, but for those that don't, can you give us a bit of an overview?
Yeah, sure. So Farnell is an electronics and industrial solution provider. We are part of the Avnet Group. We deliver products, services and solutions to thousands of customers across the globe. So in particular, a lot of electronic design products that are used in industrial environments, as well as in what we call MRO, maintenance, repair and operations. We offer a portfolio of close to 1 million products from thousands of leading suppliers. And engineers generally come to us at every stage of their design process, and we're generally equipped to offer them the support with the products and the services that they need.
So it's more than just here's all the goods that we have to buy to sell you, come and buy them. There is actually support all the way along the process for designers as they go through to plan out those products for the future.
Absolutely, Ed. Absolutely.
Brilliant. So that gives us a bit of an oversight to Farnell, but more specifically, tell us a bit about what you do there.
Yeah, so in terms of my role, I'm responsible for driving two key categories for Farnell globally, what we call electromechanical and what we call passive components. So I lead a global team of product segment leaders, and we're responsible for driving and executing our product strategy, Ed.
Brilliant. And so the focus of today, we talked in advance about the topics we wanted to cover, and a big one of those is, of course, sustainability and net zero. So one big area for that is Industry 4.0. I know that Farnell has a very specific strategy for the implementation of that and how digitisation and Industry 4.0 can really make a difference to that net zero challenge. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So we all have our part to play to reduce energy consumption, but industry alone accounts for about a fifth of all global carbon emissions. So Industry 4.0 places a huge importance on reducing energy consumption and power management, all of which combine to a reduced carbon footprint. So digitizing manufacturing, what we call Industry 4.0, is therefore a really useful tool to improve sustainability in manufacturing and industrial settings, and taking critical steps towards reducing emissions. As energy is integral to everything we do, improved efficiency in energy performance and industrial processes will lay the groundwork for the transformation of industrial energy.
And energy is such a huge topic at the moment, particularly for being such an energy hungry industry as we are across all aspects of manufacturing and engineering. So how do you see the use of Industry 4.0 as a way of improving that energy consumption? How can we take advantage of that?
Yeah, so I think two words, smart devices. I think that they're really critical to enable us to monitor things like water, electricity, gas usage, as well as kind of looking at the analytics and analysing each of the phases of the manufacturing process. So when you get this information, you can use this data to make improvements in how we consume energy during production. Energy efficient Industry 4.0 solutions are going to really help reduce the carbon footprints by lowering energy use, and it's going to save businesses cost. So if you look at a few of the solutions, there's real-time energy monitoring and analysis. You can look at smart system automation, controls and closures. We can be talking about connected infrastructure or education, accountability audits, All that can be linked to it.
And obviously, I'm assuming you're also going to now tell us that that's something that Farnell can help with specific products.
Nicely teed up there, Ed. Yeah, absolutely. Farnell carry a vast product portfolio, about 80,000 industrial products. And we do this to support our customers in the industrial automation journey. One of the advantages is that we offer it as a fast delivery. So if a customer needs it quick, then Farnell is there to offer that solution. We do have some excellent brands on our line card. Companies such as Omega, Schneider, Eaton, ABB, Ormond, Siemens, Vesto, the list goes on. But our industrial automation and control hub also provides access to technical resources to facilitate factory floor designs, upgrading systems. So we use tools to provide customers with the information they need. But we're under no illusions that changes like these are not easy, but they do have a transformational impact on the world around us. So in addition to the product offering that we offer free technical support from a team of in-house experts, so that customers can overcome obstacles in their design journey. The teams are spread across the globe, provide answers in local language so that we can offer a differential to local customers. And we're not just here to sell parts. We like to add value, supporting customers through every step of their journey.
Energy efficiency and sustainability, so important. Can you give us some frameworks of how you've seen those being implemented in the work that you've been doing with Farnell and your customers?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons why I guess we think it's really important. One is, we're driving towards net zero. There's a huge global push towards a policy of net zero through minimizing production of carbon. But that's going to require an enormous commitment from manufacturers, from industrial facilities. Both the EU and UK government have set very aggressive net zero targets for 2050, with the UK government even aiming for a 75% reduction in emissions by 2035. Adopting these smart solutions that reduce energy consumption help us to understand how we're using that energy, and emissions will enable us to get to net zero much, much more quickly. The second point, I think, is there's a business benefit for this. So the operational business benefits of reducing costs and increasing efficiency. So Industry 4.0, it's not just about environmental benefits. It enables products to generate lower production costs, which is increasingly important. We're all seeing the cost of living crisis, the increased cost of energy costs. This helps us to lower the production costs, which is becoming more and more important with these inflationary pressures that we're seeing. And I think it also, Industry 4.0 refers to the digitization of processes that help drive lower operation costs and increase productivity by those processes, such as predictive maintenance to avoid unnecessary downtime. If you reflect backwards, someone might have a machine, it may go down. You're always on the back foot at that point in time, whereas the analytics and the data and the understanding of that from Industry 4.0 helps you to do the predictive maintenance that allows that continuity of manufacturing. I think through digital techniques, manufacturers can use the Internet of Things and big data analytics to gain valuable insights into energy consumption, not just from an environmental point of view, but from, like we said before, the business operations standpoint too.
And I think that's really important. That I guess one of the challenges of all of these aggressive net zero targets is we know that 99.7% of all UK manufacturers are SMEs. And if you're in a small business where you're focused at the coalface and wearing many hats and trying to do lots of different things to keep your business growing and innovating and finding new routes to market, there's a lot of information about net zero targets and what's going on, what needs to be done. The practical side, the what advice can I have that just practically gives me solutions, which is at the heart of manufacturing and engineering is give me a solution, don't just give me a problem. So is there anything you can share about practical implementation of how you can make that difference?
Yeah, so there's a few areas I think, Ed, that we can start with here. So, let's first talk about things like industrial IoT. So, IoT platform is kind of at the center of the industrial 4.0 movement. An IoT-enabled smart solution not only helps in gaining better control over the equipment and machinery of a business, but it really increases efficiency and productivity, reducing operational costs, increasing customer experiences, and more. Smart industrial solutions tend to use real-time data to monitor and enhance process efficiencies. So it reduces human intervention. It reduces energy costs. So with the help of smart asset monitoring solutions, businesses can get deeper into the insights about the health, the availability, the productivity, the location of assets. So I think that's a really important point. And then, we touched upon it earlier. Then there's the predictive maintenance side of things. Essentially, this refers to IoT-based automation that enables multiple power-operated devices to digitally link with a centralized gateway via wireless sensors and actuators. So it allows, for example, the plant manager to monitor overseas operations of a huge manufacturing facility from absolutely anywhere. It enables the capture of analysis from data from the chosen perspective, utilizing AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms via a centralized cloud platform. So it's meticulously monitored, it's regulated manufacturing facility would aid in the optimization of energy consumption, the monitoring of machine health, the advancement of electrical safety, and more. So if we use the US as an example, nearly half of the energy consumed is from industrial plants, factories, and commercial facilities. Industry research shows that maintenance program that uses a predictive technology can reduce energy and maintenance costs by up to 30%. It can also reduce downtime by about 75%, as well as delivering savings of anywhere between 8 to 12%. So, there's significant benefits, not just both from an environmental point of view, but certainly from a business point of view as well, which makes it a no-brainer.
And I guess within that, there are specific areas of products that are more energy hungry than others. So if we take, for example, motors and power supplies, is there an opportunity to be had there specifically in how to make energy saving?
Yeah, definitely, Ed. So if we take energy efficient motors, so motors account for about 70% of the total energy consumed in a process plant. Electric motors play a critical role in driving things like conveyor belts, pumps, compressors, fans, other really critical infrastructure assets. Energy efficient motors reduce energy losses. So they've got a better design. They're made of better materials. They help us to improve manufacturing techniques. And replacing a motor, you can generally justify that on the electricity cost savings that we see and the energy efficient replacement motor that you put in. So they last longer generally, and they usually require much less maintenance. You also mentioned power supplies in your question. So introducing switch mode power supplies, they can make a huge difference. Industrial power supplies are an essential component of electrical panels. They typically convert high voltage AC to low voltage DC to power PLCs, IO and HMI devices. But the older and bulkier linear power supplies that are substituted for modern productive switch mode ones, featuring smaller form factors and direct parallel connection through integrated MOSFETs, offer enhanced features to improve machine reliability and redundancy and electrical safety.
So another big part of it, when we talk about Internet of Things, it's an amazing development and transformation for well, pretty much for everything everywhere. As homes, every aspect of life is now connected in a way that it never was before. So that inevitably is all about communication. It's about the ability to communicate between devices, between different locations, and never more so important than in manufacturing and engineering right now. So are there solutions there too that we should be looking at?
Absolutely, Ed. I mean, this is really exciting because when you look at Industry 4.0, it's created a wide range of communication technologies. So integration of communication for connectivity between manufacturing and computers. It's one of the defining accomplishments of the fourth industrial revolution. Um, if you think about meeting the challenges of increasing energy efficiency in communications, you need to look at a variety of technologies, such as energy efficient architecture and protocols, energy efficient wireless transmission technologies, industrial networking, energy backbone networks. They're just to name a few. But in order to get a benefit from these, smart manufacturing machines talk to other machines. So machine to machine, you hear a lot of at the moment without human intervention. And these are different types of wireless communication, such as IIoT, RFID, Wi-Fi, 5G, etc. Many different types of communications. So with the availability of the wireless connectivity throughout a plant, the location no longer determines access to information and the ability to be able to control a process. So the energy consumption of comms takes a major portion of the overall energy consumption of industrial systems. So by making them smarter, by making them more sort of energy efficient, we can reduce the burden that they place on the wider system. And these are all massive benefits to business.
And that's something that, as you say there, it's very exciting. It's obviously something you're passionate about, I know. But as you go through it, is that something, as well as preaching to the customer base as to how we can help you on your journey, is that something that you've actually seen internally at Farnell as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Ed. I mean, we do see it as really important. We see it an important part of our future, but also a really important part of our present. So at Farnell, as many people know, for those that don't know, it's part of the Avnet Group. We work across 5 continents, many locations, and thousands of staff. And we work collectively towards a number of sort of corporate social goals for sustainable operations. So our group in FY21 achieved its goal relating to renewables for reducing emissions and waste. And we've met our targets for 22-23 already very early. So Farnell, we're part of a long-term environmental strategy alongside other businesses in the Avnet Group. We've got quite wide-ranging goals to be achieved by 2025. But if you look at the scope for the next few years, scope 1 and 2, greenhouse gases will be reduced, the emissions by about 50% when we compare back to 2019. And by 2025, by the deadline, the entire Avnet Group aims to divert 3/4 of its global waste from landfills. So a very, very important part of our strategy.
And I think that's important, increasingly important to everybody in every supply chain now, because it all has a knock-on effect to your own carbon footprint, the people that you use, the products that you work with, and the companies that you're getting them from. What are they leaving behind? What's that legacy? And I know, so for example, Manufacturing and Engineering Week, we are striving for carbon neutral in our first year, which is really great. And we've now got a forest in place with Forest Nation, with trees being planted to help grow and maintain and continue to deliver for sustainability and sustainable reasons, the products we're using. So all of those kinds of things are going through that process from our side, I know, has been challenging on a small level. So what are the ways that you're achieving those goals? What are the things you're putting in place to make it possible?
Yeah, there's no doubt, absolutely no doubt it's a challenge, but significant steps have already been taken to reduce our carbon footprint. In fact, when you look at total carbon emissions, are around half of what they were 2 years ago. that's a big step forward for us. Total energy consumption is now approximately 16% renewables, and we're going to plan to double this in the short term. With the implementation of green initiatives at the facilities around the globe, the business has reduced its CO2 emissions by about 5,000 metric tons. We're also pretty proactive at decreasing business travel. So, throughout the pandemic, I think a lot of businesses have morphed towards this. But, the launch of Teams has created a virtual world that has allowed us to further cut emissions in travel, but be more efficient as an organisation, which is fantastic. In years gone by, maybe you and I could have been doing this in person, but we're able to do it through decent technologically advanced areas to do it in a virtual world. So, we're doing it from our homes instead. We're also working at the moment on some new facilities, and any new facilities that we build as a business, we really do consider the environmental standards as a top priority. So in Leeds, good example in Leeds, we're in the midst of a big refurbishment, and we're doing an extensive refurb there. And we've already looked at new energy efficiency systems in place to ensure that the office environmental footprint is minimized. We're including things like EV charging stations in the staff car park as people go to more electric vehicles, more efficient and mechanical electrical equipment. We're using local suppliers, for example, for things like the furniture. So we're reducing the carbon footprint for the delivery of the furniture that we need. So we're doing many, many things there. And the company as well, so the Avnet Group, we plan to move to fully renewable sources of energy. And this has already saved us about 2,000 tons of CO2. We've got other locations, Poing in Germany, Milan, Krakow, multiple offices, and they've all been consolidated. So we've started to consolidate our business to help reduce our overall emissions, our reductions in things like water and waste output. In terms of the Avnet Group globally, we recycle about 80% of the waste that we generate on site at offices and other facilities. In the UK, the total non-recycled waste production is as low, I think, as 5%. And at several of our locations, we have what we call zero landfill contracts, which basically means that any non-recyclable waste is incinerated for energy production only. So going forward, we're going to do much, much more of these things to establish reducing our carbon footprint.
It sounds like you're doing an enormous amount there, which is great to see. Getting to a point where you're at nearly zero landfill for the UK already is a tremendous achievement. And we wish you obviously every success to continue doing that. And hopefully it's inspired a few of our viewers to revisit the way that they're looking at things, because I think everyone's looking at it at the moment. So before we wrap up, is there any kind of final message you'd like to share before we conclude on today's podcast?
Yeah, I think for me, Ed, you've heard my views on these things, but it's not just my view. It's not just our business views. It's our views as a world. We need to do everything that we can to reduce energy consumption, and manufacturing and industry play a massive part of that. I think the best way to do this is to try to embrace Industry 4.0 and the digitalization of this. It's not just, as we talked about earlier on, it's not just about environmental benefits either. It focuses on reducing operating costs and it increases efficiencies. You get the longevity of the products, which is going to give businesses a competitive advantage in the market. So really, from our point of view, there's not any good reason not to be considering implementing Industry 4.0 into manufacturing. So it's got to be one of the big areas that we feel businesses and consumers will start to drive in the future.
Yeah, it's good for the world, it's good for everybody, and it's good for business. So solid ending points there, so thank you. Obviously, as I mentioned right at the start, we all know why we're here. Manufacturing and Engineering Week coming up on the 8th and 9th of June at the NEC in Birmingham. And I know that Farnell are going to be doing some free to attend practical solution-based workshops over those 2 days. So can you share with us a little bit about what you're doing on those two?
Absolutely, Ed. So we're really excited to be attending the event in June. And we'd love to continue discussions with anyone's interested. So from a listener's point of view, you can find us at the Expo. We're on stand E28. We are, as you intimated earlier, Ed, hosting 2 workshops, which is Amiga Engineering, Sensing Incredible Things, and one by Festo, which is choosing your approach to reduce compressed air energy consumption. So if visitors want to book a meeting in advance, they can do so. If you just visit farnell.com/manufacturing-expo.
Well, we look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to seeing you there for a beer as well whilst we're at the show. But in the meantime, thank you so much for sharing your insights on sustainability, Industry 4.0, and what Farnell are practically doing to make a difference. So hope you've enjoyed being part of the podcast. Thank you to our guest Dave for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you on another one soon. And in the meantime, don't forget to register for free to attend Manufacturing and Engineering Week in just a few weeks' time. Thank you.